Okay, we're going to do a test here on the Osmo Action. Some people have been saying that the front selfie screen will start to get condensation inside and have a splotch. Hello folks, welcome to Netcruzer Tech. This is the first ever clip I'm making on my new DJI Osmo Action. I'm using the front selfie screen so I can actually see what I'm looking at, which is the coolest thing. That's why you would want an Osmo Action. All the other specs are very similar to a GoPro Hero 7. I do have rock steady enabled. I'm moving the camera quite a bit and it should be stabilizing it quite nicely. So I'm going to do some panning shots here and we're going to see what it looks like. Right now I'm using the front screen. I'm going to long press the quick set button and switch it to the rear screen. But if you long press the quick switch, that's how you get your front screen to activate. Or you can double tap 2 fingers on the back. Now we're recording on the rear screen and it did reset the recording, so you cannot record front or rear at the same time. I do have this mostly on box stock settings. I did upgrade the firmware, but I've got it on 2.7K, 60 frames a second. Most things are on auto. I do have de-warp on, which is the equivalent of GoPro's linear mode. And max ISO is 3200, minimum ISO is ISO 100. And we're going to see how does it compare. And we're going to see what this is like. One thing that I don't like is because you have to swap recordings every time you go from front screen to rear screen. Now I'm doing the selfie look and I can't see myself. You also get no status on the front screen at all when you're using the rear screen. All right, so here's a fast pan and here's a slow pan. And I want to see if it experiences any of the jitters the GoPro tends to. That's my own shadow that I'm casting. And I'm just handhelding this Osmo Action. Now I'm going to stop it here and switch to the GoPro Hero 7 on similar settings. All right, now here's the GoPro Hero 7 Black, set for 2.7K 60 hyper smooth mode, and we're going to see how does it compare. So the settings are as close as they can be. This is 2.7K 60 linear hyper smooth Pro Tune with ISO maximum 3200. ISO minimum is on auto or as low as it can be based on lighting conditions. And we're going to see using similar movements, how does it look? So here's a fast pan and here's a slow pan. Now here's the same selfie look. You can't ever see yourself in the front of the GoPro unless you use the app. And you could also do that on the Osmo Action. I could pair it with a smartphone and I'd be able to see it on the screen itself. Whoa, 8 scale coming straight at me. Oh! Oh, I think it just turned off from the impact.
Stopping so quick made the switch go forward.
Oh wow. So here's the side-by-side comparison of Osmo Action versus GoPro Hero 7. The screen on the Osmo is way better, way better. That size increase as well as the resolution is remarkable. Beautiful rear screen on the Osmo Action. All right, low light walking. Here we go. We're just going to walk into the darkness and we're going to see how do they compare. This is Osmo Action versus GoPro Hero 7. Similar settings. Looks like the GoPro is significantly brighter. Yeah, we're completely in darkness now, yet I can see perfectly from the GoPro screen. The Osmo screen is just dark, very dark. Now we'll come into light. So it looks like GoPro does have low light by quite a margin. Much better. But then once you get into a lighted environment, overall the Osmo Action looks to be a cleaner, better image, but This is only by going based on the rear screens. You're not going to be able to tell until we get it into a computer and take a look at it. Alright, so that's the first look with the Osmo Action versus the GoPro Hero 7. So we'll do some more testing and see how it turns out. Okay, this Osmo Action in the settings, it really doesn't have much for video settings. The maximum ISO of the whole camera is 3200. You cannot get it up to 6400 ISO like a GoPro. Although on the GoPro, I usually set my max to 3200 or 1600 to keep noise down. In manual mode, you do have a minimum and a maximum ISO, but you can only set the minimum and you can set your shutter speed. These ones are grayed out for some reason. Color is normal or decenter-like, which makes it more of like a grayscale. De-warp, the cool thing about the DJI Osmo Action is that you can de-warp in any resolution, including the highest 4K 60. But there is an EV value, and it's currently at 0. We're going to slowly ramp it up and see how that changes in here. This is +1 EV. This is +2 EV. +2 EV, kitty. Hey, kitty, kitty. +3 EV, kitty, kitty. Yeah, kitty, kitty. So this is using HDR, 2.7K, 30 frames a second. Now I'm going to switch over to normal mode, and we'll see what that looks like. Now here's 2.7K, 30 frames a second, normal, non-HDR. Seems to look quite nice, actually. It's as soon as I lowered it down to 30 frames a second, all the brightness and the colors came back. Okay, we're going to do a test here on the Osmo Action. Some people have been saying that the front selfie screen, if you run it on 4K 60 for more than 10 minutes, it will start to get condensation inside and have a splotch show up on the screen. So we are going to try that and see what happens. So I've got this Hero 5 in time-lapse mode shooting at the display, and we're going to see what happens. So I'll just set the timer. Set timer 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes and counting.
Okay, so we'll come back in 10 minutes and see if there's a splotch on the display. Alright, so it's been 10 minutes and the screen has no problem at all, so it's fine. This screen does not have a defect from 10 minutes of 4K 60 recording.